So, welcome everyone to our session today. We'll be taking you through the battle of AI for dominance in Microsoft Teams. I am Onyinye Madubuko, a workplace engineering consultant with Avanade. I enjoy helping organizations transform digitally in the hybrid workplace. Over to you, Sarah. Let's get to know you.
Thank you. My name's Sara Fennah. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer focusing across Microsoft 365, also an MVP for Microsoft 365 as well.
Amazing. So in today's session, we are going to consider which Teams AI tool is best, Teams or Copilot.
Our original idea behind this session was to each take one of the tools and battle it out for the various merits. Unfortunately, the dates didn't quite tie up as we thought, and people haven't had access for long enough. So we're going to make it a little bit more of a friendly conversation rather than a battle.
Yeah. So our agenda for today, we're going to be looking at amazing AI features in Teams and Teams Premium. We're going to be looking at how Copilot cuts across Microsoft 365. How efficient can we make our Teams meeting be? And please feel free to drop your chats. We're going to make this session a collaborative one, an interactive one. Drop your questions in the chat. We're going to pick it up and have this conversation going on. So as we move on, based on MIT research, there is 87% of organizations believe that AI will give them a competitive edge. So this means that 13% of organizations are already losing out on AI. So no organization wants to be in this boat. So we're going to leverage our information here, go back to organizations to help organizations leverage AI, right? And there are some myths around AI taking over our jobs, making us redundant. But the truth is, AI is there to help us be productive, go ahead and utilize the facilities to make us productive in our workplace. Now, having discussed this, there are questions around why Copilot, right? Let's forget about the hype around Copilot. Everyone is talking about Copilot on social media, Copilot, LinkedIn on Copilot. And you're asking yourself, what's really Copilot? There are several good reasons about Copilot, but we are here to pick out few that resonates with us. It's powerful and protective, right? One good thing about Copilot is for every time it gives you an information, it cites it. So to avoid plagiarism. And if you want to utilize Copilot so well, you have to be very good with prompts. For every prompt you use, be rest assured that Copilot doesn't save your prompts, it doesn't save your answers, and it doesn't use it to train any AI model. In the course of this session, we'll educate you more on how to utilize Copilot so that your prompts will not be used to train AI model. So moving on, the question is, what is Teams Premium? So Sarah, could you help us with that?
I'm going to ask the audience first of all, could you just raise your hand if you're already using either Teams Premium or Copilot? Let's see how many people we've got in the audience already that are using it. Okay, so quite a lot of you. Excellent. Thank you. That's nearly half. Thank you all very much. You can put your hands down again now. Yes, I could lower them all for you, but if you leave them up, then I know that you've got something else to add. Okay, so we all know now that Teams Premium is an add-on license offering us enhanced features across different areas. Obviously, in this session, we're going to be focusing on the AI features, but please remember it is more. You will have seen as you joined these meetings, the Teams Nation branding on that join screen. You will see the transcripts and the caption translations available as well. So lots of features and across those different areas. If you look at meetings, this is a list of all of the Teams meeting enhancements that are in Teams Premium. There's quite a few of them. I'm not going to go through this really long list. I'm really not, I promise. But I did want to just highlight which of those are AI driven.
Okay. So what's special about backgrounds and together modes in Microsoft Teams Premium?
Yeah, because we have backgrounds and together modes in the core Teams functionality. So these are just allowing your admins to push out custom meeting backgrounds to the users and also custom together mode scenes. That's really where the core, the Teams Premium difference, if you like, comes in compared to the core features. Let's go and look at some of these AI-driven features if you've used them. So watermarking, brilliant for helping with the security of the meeting, discouraging people from stealth recordings and screenshots and sharing, because we don't want to share a video or an image with our email address all across the shared content. So that's why that is there. And obviously, the watermark is your email address, the person viewing. Okay, so good for security.
Okay. So I'm an organizer. I started a meeting and I forgot to enable watermarking. Can I do that during meetings?
Only if you force everyone to leave and then get them to rejoin. You would have to end the meeting and everyone would have to rejoin after you change the setting. So ideally do it before. So let's have a quick look. I am going to set up a watermarked meeting here, and I'm going to go into my meeting options and turn on my watermarks. And if you haven't seen watermarks recently, please do note that you've got a lot of choices here now as to the pattern and also the transparency level to control how obvious the watermark is. Now I've switched over to Luke here, who's going to join from a web browser. Well, he's going to try, but it's telling him he won't see the meeting video because a watermark is applied and it is not supported in the web browser. Okay, another prompt here once he's joined. Now this is classic Teams in the web browser. If he switches to new Teams, it would work. Meanwhile, for me, I'm seeing the watermark across the video. Luke has now joined from the MacBook. Luke's looking a bit green today. Apologies for that. But I can also now record watermark meetings. That was one of the big problems. So this is Luke over on the Mac. You can see we're recording with Clipchamp here in the background. And Luke is seeing the watermark all across the screen, his email address all across the screen and also across the organizer's video there as well. Okay. If I click onto the organizer's video, you can just about see Luke's email address as the watermark across there. Okay. I mentioned before, for those of you who are in this session early before the start, that you can also switch on translated captions. Please don't change the spoken language. You'll break the captioning for everybody. But we can go and have a look at the captions in a different language.
Okay. Before we go over to that, can different speakers have multiple language? And can each attendee change their own language?
Okay, so we can only have one spoken language per meeting at any one time. So if I have speakers of different languages, yes, I can switch the language as another speaker takes the floor, but I can't have multiple spoken languages in the same meeting, and it doesn't auto-detect. Okay. Multiple spoken languages is something people have requested, but is currently not supported. The other question, can each attendee choose a different language? Yes, of course. Please do go ahead and try that in this session. Turn on your captions and try changing the caption language, the top option, to a different language. Who needs a Teams premium license when I want to speak? So Manfred is asking, okay, so who needs the Teams premium license for that functionality in the session? The meeting organizer. So the person who sets up the meeting needs the license, and then that feature is available in the meeting for all attendees. Okay. And the same with the transcript as well. We can now do this on the transcript. So if you go and open the transcript through the three dots in your Teams meeting, into recording and transcript, select show transcript, there's a little gear icon up at the top corner and from there you can select the transcript language. And once you've changed the language, the advantage of this over the closed captions is you can see the transcript in both languages. Okay, so that's really helpful if you speak the language that's been spoken in the session but would rather have your captions in a different language. Using the transcript gives you the best of both. Okay. I noticed Manfred's come back with a follow-up question. Could it be the co-organizer that had the Teams premium license? No, because the features are set on the meeting when the meeting organizer sets it up. So what's available in that meeting is controlled by the person who creates it, or rather the account it's created in. We quite often get this question where you have assistants creating the meeting on behalf of others. I'm sure you've seen that, Oni, where people have created the meeting on behalf of a senior leader. Yeah, and you can invite that leader as a co-organizer, but if it's the leader who has the Teams premium license, then the features aren't available in the meeting. Okay.
So the assistant needs to have the Teams premium license.
Or if you set the meeting up from the web browser, Outlook for Web, in the leader's calendar, they become the organizer. So then they can have full control and their Teams premium settings apply. Okay. Couple of different ways around it.
Yeah.
Intelligent recap. This is the killer feature, isn't it? This is what we all want, to not have to spend hours catching up on meetings that we couldn't attend where we got the clash. With the automatic AI generated notes and the speaker selection, the suggested tasks. The other things that this gives us is automatically generated chapters, which do also show up in Stream as well on those recorded sessions.
Okay. So since I have to come to meetings without notes, since there's a generated chapters, so the question is, how does Microsoft Teams Premium generate the chapters?
So it uses the visuals within the meeting to generate the chapters. So if you're changing slides, it will generate a chapter at that point, as long as it's not a very quick succession, or if you're switching who's screen sharing, that will also generate a chapter. It's based on the visuals changing in the meeting. It works best with PowerPoint Live because that's embedded within the meeting, but it does also work like we're doing here with a screen share. Screen share markers show up on the meeting, so when different people share their screen during a meeting, you'll get little markers on the recordings for the users who have the Teams Premium license. The same with the markers that tell me when I'm mentioned in a meeting. They again show up for the users with the Teams Premium license. When I'm looking at the recap, which I have to have a Teams Premium license myself to see. I can see the breakdown of who spoke. Seems I'm quite good at hogging the limelight. Must be something to do with being a trainer.
Sure.
So yes, we can see where people were speaking and jump to the appropriate part of the session. And you can also see when you joined and left the meeting. So you only need to review the parts you missed. Again, those are all because I have a Teams Premium license and I'm reviewing a meeting that has been recorded. The suggested tasks also show up in that AI recap where we've mentioned in the meeting that we've got follow-up things to do.
So how are the suggested tasks generated? Does it mean that AI listens to our meetings?
Well, listens, kind of. So the AI recap is generated from the transcript of the meeting. Okay. And so if the meeting is not transcribed, there is no AI recap of the meeting. It doesn't use the recording, so it's not listening to the audio. It's purely going off that transcript. So if the transcript's not terribly accurate, then we are going to not get onto very accurate tasks. But, you know, most of the time the transcript is good enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Just before I go on and talk about the meetup, we've got another question in the chat about the workarounds for assistance. I think I wrote a blog on this a little while ago. I will, after the session, pull out the link and put it in the meeting chat for you. Okay. But if you saw my Linktree code at the start, you will see that there is a link to my blog from my Linktree as well in there. Okay. I find it really difficult to find the recaps, especially if I'm working on a mobile device. Thankfully, Outlook for mobile now does show you a link to the recap. I checked this morning. It is now there. Teams on mobile doesn't yet. And if I'm working in new Teams on desktop or Mac or web, we can get to this new Meet app. And it's a slightly different way of looking at your appointments. I don't know about you, Onyinye, but I find it much simpler interface than looking through my calendar.
Yes, it is. Sometimes I streamline down to agenda for the day. So,
Yeah, so rather than necessarily switching your calendar to agenda in Teams, you could switch to the Meet app and just see the most recent ones. The great thing is as well, those ones that happened in the past, you can also filter those for ones that have shared content that you missed, that were recorded, that you have mentions. And if you have the Teams Premium license, obviously each of those meetings where there was a transcript, you will be able to easily access the recap. Unfortunately, I captured the wrong screenshot. I do apologise for this, but there should be a little view recap button next to the meeting where there was a recap generated of the meeting. You can get to the recap through the chat as well. Okay, let me just switch over to my Teams and show you this Meet app for real. So you can see here, I've got a meeting here with a recap because I'm filtered on ones with content. So it's finding me those ones with the recap there as well. Okay. Do you think we have to remind people that good meetings don't just rely on the technology? I think we could all do with a reminder occasionally, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so do remember to get those, the good meeting practice is still good meeting practice, just made better if it's easier to recap. So yes, our summary, our AI is the killer feature of Teams Premium. Okay. So that was Teams Premium from an AI perspective. It is quite limited, but it is the main feature, excuse me, that people want from an AI tool in Teams. So let's go and think about Copilot.
Yeah, excited.
It's what everyone wants. Just before I do, Copilot is the next great thing, but don't forget we've had AI for a long time, and it's built into a lot of the features we use in Microsoft 365 already. Okay, I've put the AI, the meeting notes on the bottom there, but the dictation in the Teams meeting, the transcripts, the captions, these are all AI-driven features, even going back to spell check. Okay. And when we have Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is the features we're going to go on to look at now, if we're using the Copilot website, we get that work web toggle, so we can ask our questions against work data or web data. And I think it's important to understand which Copilot we mean. Okay, so I am going to be talking about in the next section this Copilot on the final column. Copilot for Microsoft 365. The $30 per user per month plan that gives us the Copilot button in the apps. Without that plan as an add-on, we don't have that functionality in Teams. Okay. So AI features in Teams Premium, the meeting recap, accessible through the Meet app. If you've got Copilot for Microsoft 365, we have, the Copilot app, which was previously the Microsoft 365 chat app, but it's rolling out at the moment, being renamed Copilot. You have the Copilot icon in the tools, in the ribbon, and also the little sparkle prompt popping up in line. You can purchase Copilot personally to add to a personal Microsoft 365 subscription, and that does give you the Copilot icons built into the Office apps, but not in Teams. And it does also give you the sparkle prompt.
I'm just curious, and I think I'm going to ask the question. Probably there are people on this call who are willing to ask the same question. Does the prompt inline really sparkle?
No, unfortunately not. It would be nice if it did, wouldn't it? It's called the sparkle prompt because it's there to spark ideas, and it's 2 little stars. When Copilot was in private preview in the early access program, that used to be the icon that showed up everywhere in line where you were working inside a message or inside a document, inside your messages, but now it's the little Copilot icon in most places. But we do still have that sparkle prompt, 2 little stars, showing that Copilot has some assistance to offer you, some ideas.
Okay, good to know.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. There are other sessions at Teams Nation today talking about how Copilot works and looking in a lot more detail at this. But I will just point out to you that the semantic index is what drives Copilot. So when we obtain licenses and assign them to users, the semantic index is generated. This is a new type of index that not only maps a list of content, but also the relationships between the users and the content and every bit of the content and where it's used. So that's why search improves as soon as you switch on Copilot. And that's why Copilot can find related content and suggest related information as well. Okay. And of course, it honors all the security, but I'm sure you've seen enough marketing videos that you've heard all about how Copilot honors your Microsoft 365 security. You may still get the Delve effect. Those of you who have not been around Microsoft 365 all that long probably don't remember the uproar when Delve first came out and it made suggestions, documents you might want to see, and people were worried that it was overriding their permissions and showing people things they shouldn't be able to see. It was all down to the fact the permissions weren't what people thought they were. They hadn't configured them correctly. And we will get the same with Copilot. Yeah, you just say he wasn't around for the Delve apocalypse, but heard stories. Yeah, definitely. There's some real horror stories, and it all comes down to, were your permissions correct? Any horror stories we get from Copilot, like a company that I worked with recently, where you could find the CEO's pay slips. It was interesting. Yeah, you will get those because people haven't got the permissions set the way they think they have. So that's a whole other session, and I think Nikki Chappell's doing something on that today. So
Okay, so having learned all about Copilots, how do I access Copilot in Microsoft Teams?
So number of different ways. I love the names we're getting for the problems with Delve, by the way. The Delve apocalypse and the Delve Gate. Okay, sorry, I launched my video before I was ready. So if I'm in Teams, I do have the Copilot app on the left-hand side here. It's also part of my Copilot, part of my chat here. And you can see mine's been renamed to Copilot from Microsoft 365 Chat. If you're on the home page, you do also have the Copilot built in. And if you go to copilot.microsoft.com, you've got that work web toggle. Okay. If I'm using Copilot from any of those, I can go and ask questions that run across my whole tenant, all of the data I've got access to. So, for example, I could ask it to catch me up on emails about Teams Nation. Please, always got to be polite. Don't forget to be polite to your assistants, be they real or AI driven. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Promise. So there we go. It's live. This is running live against my real tenant. Okay, so I do have to be a little bit careful what I show you. But it is coming up with all of those real emails and the references. Have you noticed I've got a recent list?
Yeah, you've been really utilizing Copilot on recent.
Might be doing 1 or 2 training sessions on Copilot at the moment. But Oni, earlier you said Copilot didn't save what we did. Yeah, it didn't save our prompts. But here you can see it has saved my prompts. And that's because I'm in the Copilot for Microsoft 365. Yeah. Where I'm using Copilot for web, I don't get those saved prompts. But where I switch across to Copilot for work, that's where I get my saved prompts. And Eva, that's correct. The features I'm showing now are only possible with Copilot for Microsoft 365, the work option there. One other thing I would like to show you when I'm using Copilot for Microsoft 365, I have this little book icon, view prompts, which gives me suggestions, and I can jump across to the Copilot lab from here. Once it signs me in. And it gives you all sorts of ideas of things you can try with Copilot. Again, everything I'm showing you at the moment is part of the Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. Okay. And that has taken me out of Teams. Oh, no, it hasn't. There it is. Okay, so let's look at Copilot across chat.
Okay, so you just showed us the Copilot lab. Can we have a practical experience about the Copilot lab?
Yeah, so as I've come into here, I can pick the app I want to work with, choose the different categories. So let's say I want to do a catch-up. It's giving me all sorts of different options as to what I could do. So I could ask it to summarize a meeting. I could ask it to generate questions. Now I can do that during a meeting, or I can do it as a follow-up based on the recap as well. And if I'm using this, then what I would do is go and copy that into Copilot where I want to use it. Yeah. So, talking about chat.
Yeah. Could we also explore meeting recap as well on the chat?
Yeah. Let me show you the chat first, and then I'll show you the meeting recap live. In fact, let's go into this live rather than running the video. It seems to be behaving today. I like to take some videos just as an alternative. Okay, so here I am in the chat with Alex. I should point out to those people who don't know, Alex is my 19-year-old son away at university, and very, very occasionally I get a response from him. And you can see here that I've got Copilot button in the chat, and I can build a summary. And it's trying to reload what I've done in this conversation before. So I've already summarized this chat on the 13th of February, and you can see there's very little happened since then because he doesn't talk very much. So there's no need to regenerate that summary. I can still see it. But I can ask if there's any outstanding questions. So I did ask here if he could assist me with some Teams features. I want to do a little bit of a video of Teams during a meeting. And my little green assistant wasn't very talkative when I recorded my watermark video earlier. So I thought I might try something a little bit more cooperative. You know, green assistant to teenage son. I thought that was a slight step up. We will see. Okay, the other thing I can do is I can rewrite text. For example, I could ask that to be more professional or just longer. There we go. So I could now replace that message that I've written in there with the Copilot suggested message. And you said, talk about the recap. So if I look at this after a meeting, I do have a summary of what was discussed in the meeting. I can jump to the appropriate part of the recording, and I can see any follow-up tasks and jump to the appropriate part of that recording. But now I can also run Copilot against it. So I can ask Copilot to summarize the key topics discussed. Yeah, I could ask for follow-up questions. I could ask what the next steps were. And there's my little sparkle prompt. You see, it's not sparkling, but it is there to give me some more ideas. So having the recap plus the Copilot next to it does give me that extra functionality. Okay. So I guess that brings us to this topic where...
Yeah, I think before you go on, I think there's a question. If the
Okay.
features you're showing now is not possible without Copilot for Microsoft 365. Yes.
Yeah, this is an excellent slide to come back to that question. Yeah, most of the features I'm showing you today, well, all of the features we're looking at are not core to Teams. They were either the Teams Premium features to start with, or now using the Copilot for Microsoft 365 license. And if we put the two together, this is the sort of experience we're getting with the intelligent recap, which is in Teams Premium, with the Copilot on the side. And you can use that Copilot for the meeting during the meeting as well. Yeah. I will say you don't have to have both licenses to get this experience. That intelligent recap is also part of the Copilot experience now as well. So you don't need both licenses. Okay. We've already talked about how I could use Copilot in meetings and the fact that there will be a video coming on that once I wrangle my assistant, my real life assistant, into helping me in about a week's time.
Okay. We have learned a lot about Teams, Copilot. I believe whatever we have learned here would probably give us better knowledge to choose which one to go for. But what do you think, Sarah?
Which
Do you
tool?
think, which tool do you think would be best?
Well,
Or should you throw this to the audience?
I'm going to say I'm interested in what people think. Which tool do you think is best for what you're doing? I know you've only got the meeting chat, but if you can please just tell us which tool you think is better, the Teams Premium or the Copilot, around what you're doing with Teams. It's going to be interesting. I might also ask you for a show of hands. So those people... Oh, we've got the ultimate answer. They want both. Okay, who thinks they want Teams Premium? Give me a raise hands if you want Teams Premium and don't already have it. Yeah, it's not only Teams Premium. Do you want Teams Premium? Okay, only 2 people. Okay. Take your hands down. Do you want Copilot? Put your hands up. Oh, more people. Okay.
Everyone wants Copilot.
Everyone wants Copilot. I guess the next one is, anyone want both? We had 7 for Copilot. Who wants both? Oh, I'll give you, yeah, it looks like Copilot alone wins. People don't want both. I guess that's the answer then. The AI tool that's best in Teams is Copilot. I would say, from a business perspective, it really depends on what you want. The Teams Premium product is a lower price. Yeah, $10 per user per month-ish. Depends on your exact agreement. Yeah. Copilot, $30 per user per month. It's a much more expensive product. But that's because it does more. Yeah, it's not just recap. It's not just those security features. We've only focused on the AI features in Teams Premium, but obviously Teams Premium does more than just AI. But Copilot does a lot more than just Teams. So really, it does depend on which one you want, or, as Annette said, can we please have both? There we go. Perfect comment in the chat. Copilot is the first choice, but better with Premium because the possibilities to brand and the meeting templates.
Yeah.
I think Timo summed up our session quite nicely.
Yeah. So there are some questions, and
Yeah, if
probably
anyone wants to ask any questions, I can open up the microphones so people can say out their questions, or you can use the chat as well. So I'll quickly just take the hard mute off. And now if someone wants to raise their hand and then open up their microphone, it's possible.
Oni, I think you had another question as well while people are getting
yes.
their microphones
So
sorted.
what if I'm an employee and my organization doesn't have Teams Premium and there is no Copilot? Can I use ChatGPT?
No.
Okay. I
That's
have
my
another
opinion.
one. I have another one.
Go on then.
What if I'm a self-employed person and I have the Microsoft 365 personal plan? Can I still use ChatGPT? Is there Copilot in Microsoft 365 personal plan?
Okay, so the reason I'm saying no to ChatGPT is because it doesn't give us that protection. What we put into the prompt is added into the model. Okay, if we're using the Bing Chat Enterprise version of Copilot, the free version in inverted commas, then we can put content into the prompt. So you've got a meeting to summarize, you can copy the transcript or part of the transcript into your prompt. But if you're signed in with your enterprise account, your work account, that data is safe. If we're putting it into a prompt in ChatGPT, that transcript is added to the body of knowledge. It's added to its background data and used to answer the question. The same if we're using the Bing Chat version of Copilot, the personal one, because that doesn't have that commercial data protection. And just to go back to this slide, I didn't mention Copilot Pro. So your user with the personal account, personal Microsoft 365 account, rather than the commercial one, can add Copilot, does get that commercial data protection, does get the button in the Office apps, but not in Teams. So realistically, for what we're talking about, you want to be using Copilot for Microsoft 365.
Good to know that.
Anyone? I didn't see any hands go up.
I'm not sure if the mute has been turned off for them.
No other questions at the moment. I will move on to just bring you back to our intro slides. You will find both Oni and I have Linktree connections with those little QR codes in the corners of our pictures. Please do feel free to use those to connect, to find us on socials. Our names are both quite unique, so you can always take a quick screenshot of this without a watermark over, and reach out and connect to either of us on socials. And I promise I will follow up by posting into this meeting chat the information about the delegated access as well. So all that remains for me to say before Mishka takes back the control is to please ask you to rate this session and all sessions that you attend. Is incredibly helpful for us as speakers and for the event to know what you want to see. Okay. And don't miss that closing keynote, especially. That looks really exciting. I think you're on mute, Mishka.
Oh yeah, I was muted, of course. Thank you so much for your session. This was very nice to jump into both of the sides of AI and Teams. It seems like Teams Premium has been a bit forgotten by people with all the Copilot hype. So great to see a nice recap of those features as well. And especially with the price point difference, some people can actually benefit from Teams Premium a lot as well. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you both have a nice rest of the conference. And Sarah will be moderating as well today. But
I will.
Thank you so much, and we will come back in around a little bit over 10 minutes for our next session, which will be around Microsoft Mesh.
So who's up next? Have you got the transition slide?
Yeah, I'm gonna just pull it up. I have 3 displays right now, and still I feel like I'm running out of space all of the time. But I'm gonna get it out right there. So next up, we're going to have Miguel and Angel on this room.
Oh, yeah. This is the session where I'm really struggling. I want to go to all of them.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, and I will see everyone a little bit later on. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone, as well.
Yes, thank you.